Hey guys, so in today's video I want to share my sketchbook from Scotland. Just got back from the UK a couple of days ago. Absolutely exhausted, to be honest with you. We covered a lot, but the main, one of the main purposes of the trip was to do the North Coast 500. We had this trip planned and booked for March 2020. Obviously COVID came along and that didn't happen. So 3.5 years later, we finally got to do this trip. So it is a road trip starting in Inverness and working your way all the way around the Highlands of Scotland in either direction. We chose to do it in an anti-clockwise direction, which I think was a good decision because the second half of the route is absolutely spectacular in terms of landscapes. For the trip, I decided to use an Accordion Sketchbook. I really enjoyed doing that for New Zealand, which you can check out that sketchbook tour here on YouTube. I'll link it up in the corner. And yeah, I just absolutely love that format, to be honest with you. So this is actually a handmade one. The one I used for New Zealand was a etcher one. So yeah, as you can see, it kind of folds out like this, and we've got illustrations on the front and on the back. So it's just a really fun way to, capture a specific trip or capture a specific project or a specific theme or something like that. So I see people use accordion sketchbooks in all kinds of fantastic ways. So I started off with sticking my... Well, I didn't have my ticket then, but I left this page to stick my ticket in, and I also wrote down where we went each day. But the first thing I actually did, and I did this at home, was to try my best to draw Scotland. Not the easiest country to draw, and I probably did miss out maybe some islands, so I do apologise for that. I did do my best, I promise. So yeah, so that's the map, and I've just highlighted a few of the key places that we went. We did actually start in Edinburgh and spent a few days there, which was sublime, but I'll get to that in a minute. And then, so starting off really, the first sketch I did was in the lounge at the airport in Johannesburg. Yeah, just wanted to get the sketching going. So just a very basic sketch of someone. So he looked like he had such a curve sitting there, and it was, I don't know, that was the main thing that got me about this guy. It's just this curve here. I wanted to draw it. Real crystal glass, some cakes and goodies, and this very small lady, and she had this gigantic hat. It just made me laugh. It's little things like that. It might not be the best sketch in the world, but it's like little memories like that. That's what's amazing about keeping a travel sketchbook, is just little funny things that you can remember when you look back at the sketch. And you can see I did a lot of annotation as well, which I was, I'm quite a big fan of. It's just fun to add little handwritten notes. So the next sketch I did was when we were sitting on the plane. We treated ourselves to premium economy, which was a nice bit of extra room. And yeah, just sort of did it from my sketchbook and forward, just kept it relatively simple. I could have done a whole expansive sketch of the plane and stuff like that, but I really didn't want to take up too much space with that. It's not a key focus of the overall trip, so I just kept my view quite narrow, kept it quite graphic, and yeah, I was very happy with that. Again, add in some little notes. Then the next thing, when we landed at Heathrow, we took the tube to King's Cross and then eventually got on a train to Edinburgh. We just decided we'd like to travel up to Scotland by train rather than flying. So then we were sat across from this German mother and daughter, and again, just capturing me sketching in the book and the little table and them, and that's all I needed of that scene. Here, this is fun to do. I did this also in the New Zealand book, where it's just a little scene out the window, very basic scene, but just reminds me of our first stop in Newcastle with this blue bridge. Very, very simplistic sketch, but that is absolutely all you need sometimes in a travel sketchbook, and that's what's really fun about this kind of thing. By the way, guys, if you're interested, I am holding a week-long travel sketching vacation in Spain next year in April 2024. There's still spaces left. If you're interested, check the description of this YouTube video. It will take you to Adler and Marlowe's website. Danny is the owner of that boutique travel company. Lovely American guy who lives in Spain and knows everything about Spain. And I'm teaming up with him and Judith, who also runs the travel sketching workshops alongside him. She's actually going to be teaching in Portugal for the first time this year, and they've invited me to come and do the Spanish section of the travel vacation. So 7 days in Spain. It's going to be absolutely amazing, starting in Barcelona and then taking transport down to the coast. We're going to see things like Salvador Dali's house. We're also going to be in Barcelona for the Sant Jordi festival, which apparently is amazing, and they cover the entirety of Barcelona in roses and books and that kind of thing. So please do check the link below. It would be amazing to sketch side by side with you. I can impart everything I know about travel sketching, and we'll just have an absolute blast. So yeah, check it out in the description below. Okay, so moving on then. The weather was extremely windy in Scotland. Scotland is a tricky place for weather at the best of times. So, you know, some of these I just had to do my best to try and keep them brief, really. So we went to the pub in Edinburgh. We did a lot of that, by the way. And we drank some beers, so I made a note of which ones we had. And then there was just this beautiful church here, called Tron Kirk, and later on we actually did go inside, and it's not being used as a church at all. It's being used as an arts and crafts market. Did actually buy something there, so that was really cool. And this was such a quick sketch, and I really liked the colours I used as well, so much so that actually I think the next day we were on Calton Hill and I tried to use a similar sort of colours because I really enjoyed it. I just really wanted to capture this monument, and then in the background I just had the silhouettes of different things I could see on the skyline. The amazing thing about being up there is someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, are you with Urban Sketchers?" And I was like, huh? And it turned out that there was a special Urban Sketchers holiday meetup thing going on in Edinburgh that week, where Urban Sketchers from all over the UK had met up with each other. And that day, right then, they were sketching on Calton Hill. So I did speak to a couple of them, and that was really, really cool to meet them. Just really proves that how much of a worldwide thing urban sketching is, and that wherever you go you can meet up with urban sketchers. It's just magical, really. This is the Writers' Museum. I promised myself I would go to sketch at the Writers' Museum because I did a tutorial with my Pretty Sketchy Club, my private membership, and yeah, so I promised them I would go and actually sketch it on location. So again, it was so windy, so I just really had to just do this as quickly as possible. And then before we left Edinburgh in the morning, I got up quite early and went and sat on these steps right by our apartment and got this amazing view of Edinburgh. I actually only managed to do the line work on location because time was ticking on, and yeah, couldn't do it all on location, but did paint it afterwards. And I enjoyed putting these white lines around, a bit like Lapin does. I thought that was quite fun. But yeah, actually really big fan of this sketch, and I'm super glad I did manage to sketch Edinburgh Castle, because obviously it's quite a prominent part of Edinburgh, really. So an amazing couple of days in Edinburgh. Then we got our car, picked up our car and headed off to Inverness. Again, the weather was crap, quite frankly, so we sat in a restaurant called Prime, which I chose because it's one of the places I could be indoors and still see Inverness Castle, which is actually under construction at the moment, or they're renovating it, so I couldn't go in. But I did this kind of paint first and then drew on top technique, and that was really fun. I really like how this has come out. And then I kind of had this kind of awkward space here, and we did go to the oldest distillery in Scotland, which is called Glen Ord, where Singleton operate from. So I think it was actually Duncan's idea, but he was like, "Why don't you put the logo there?" And I was like, actually a really nice idea. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, actually. And it just shows you don't always have to draw big old scenes or architecture. Adding something like the logo is quite a nice little thing to do. And then we carried on our way, and this was just in a little place called Tain, and there was quite this spiky monument, which I quite liked, so just did a very quick sketch of that. And then we stayed in a castle. It wasn't quite as castle-y as this castle, but it was cool anyway. I think 15th century, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we stayed in it. Very nice place, Stornock, very nice little village. Yeah, just mind-blowing how old some stuff is, really. Just, yeah, staggering. And then after we stayed there, we went to a place called Dunvegan Castle, and we actually were there in time to see the falconry display, which was really exciting. I'd actually forgotten how much I love falconry displays. We used to see them now and again as kids. Yeah, I don't know, it's just this awesome little thing that I'd forgotten that I really enjoyed. Okay, on to the flip side then. We're working our way up the east coast at the moment. Okay, no, sorry, then we go up to John O'Groats. So we're right at the top now, John O'Groats. Again, weather not great and not a staggering amount to like draw quickly maybe, but I just sat on one of these rocks. I'm not a big fan of that rock, but rocks are my nemesis. So I didn't like how that came out, but I got to a point where it's not too bad. But I like this kind of coastal scene here, John O'Groats. And then Duncansby Stacks, sorry, I'm not even on camera here. Let's see. Duncansby Stacks are reasonably nearby, so we took a walk to go and see those. So windy. And then we drove across the top of Scotland and ended up in a place called Inverness, yep. And gale force winds, quite frankly, so I drew this from inside our B&B. We could see this nice kind of scene out the window, bit of the fields, these barns and stuff, and I thought it was quite fun to put the window frame in and this pot of flowers here. And like a business card as well, always quite fun to add in. Didn't add in too many because I didn't want to take up the limited space that I had really with too much of that, but I had a natural space here, so I stuck it in. And then we started travelling down the west coast. Lots of squiggly little roads, lots of driving, but like fun driving. Really is quite the road trip. So, you know, when we did stop, just capture little things like this is Artcraig Castle, 15th century ruins. Just a nice quick little scene, you know, nothing too hectic, not much drawing involved. Nice quick little memory. And then we eventually got to Ullapool, and again I drew this out of the window of our hotel because yet again the weather was really not good. And then by accident I just turned my head as we were driving and I saw this stag just standing in a car park, so I reversed up the road and pulled in. Just such quintessential icon of Scotland really, so had to draw a stag. And then gosh, I mean, we're jumping here. We did so much driving. This day was like driving single track roads. I was in absolute heaven. I was driving like, you know, Duncan was like, you missed your calling as a rally driver. I was just loving it. It was so much fun. But anyway, it was a long drive, but eventually we did get to the Isle of Skye. The weather, I literally can't describe to you how bad the weather was. I think we were right on the edge of Storm Agnes. And yeah, so the wind was pummeling, so just managed to do this sketch at Dunvegan Castle, and then another one just from kind of inside the castle walls. This is like the battlements apparently, yeah. So that's the battlement there, and then just a bit of the view outwards, just super loose, again, just an impression. Then after we stayed on the Isle of Skye, our neighbour who lives directly opposite us said, oh, are you going to Dunvegan Castle? And we looked it up and we were like, well, we didn't know about it, but now we're going to go. It was actually featured in films such as Highlander and the James Bond film The World Is Not Enough. So this was just a watercolour impression of it. And I liked it so much, I was like, I'm not even going to draw anything on top of that. I just really like the shape of it. And I think if you saw it then from this angle, you'd be like, oh yeah. Right now it might not look like much, but yeah, I loved it so much I left it like that. So, but then I just did decide to draw it from another angle. Again, just a section of it and some nice foliage in the front, just kept it very simple, didn't have much time. And then, not sure how to pronounce this castle really, but it's along the shore of Loch Ness, Artcraig Castle. We decided not to pay the £14 entrance fee to go into these ruins just because we'd been seeing so many castles. The UK is just extremely expensive right now. The last couple of years it's just blown up in expense. So we'd paid to get into a lot of castles. So we decided not to go into this one, but we just sketched it from up at the top view of it, and that's fine. So again, I was playing with my super granulating paints from Schmincke, the Tundra set. I bought them quite a long time ago, quite a few years ago. I don't really use them very much, but I did decide to take them with me to Scotland, as I thought it was kind of Scottish vibes maybe. So so yeah, I did some parts of these with those paints. And then finally on the Friday, we took the train from Inverness all the way down to London, which is an 8-hour train journey. I managed to catch up on a lot of work, a lot of video editing that I needed to do, but towards the end I did manage to just do a sketch of the interior of the train, and I'm not sure what Duncan's doing there, but that's definitely the position he was in. He might either be sleeping or he was playing with his phone, I can't really remember, but he did buy this hat by Loch Ness in Fort Augustus, the Scottish kind of wool hat, which, yeah, he just hasn't left his head ever since. There's his other hat on top of his backpack. But yeah, it's fun to remember things like that. And just, again, sticking in a ticket for the castle and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that is my accordion book from Scotland. Again, if you're interested in travelling to Spain and spending a week with me and some other beautiful people and learning how to travel sketch or improving your travel sketching, then do come along. Do not forget, I have my book coming out, yay! So it's coming out in the US December 5th, US and Canada, rest of the world probably end of January, and it's available from like Blackwell's and Barnes & Noble and Amazon and loads of other book retailers. So yeah, you can check that out. I've got a link in the description below. I'm really excited about having a physical book published all about urban sketching and just my love for it. And yeah, I really hope you guys do check it out. Thank you to all of you that have pre-ordered it. It really helps with visibility, so I'm really grateful to you guys. You can also check out my Pretty Sketchy Club, which is a private membership club, $15 US a month. Please excuse my cat right now. $15 US a month, weekly videos and challenges, and also a community where you can upload your sketches as well. So the link is in the description below, and I will see you in the next video.